gbanigbani ojú ọ̀nà ó ṣe gbámú. Òsangiri lágiri ọ̀làgiri kàkà. Àkọ́kọ́ arẹ́rẹ́ o. Bàbá mi ò wọ kẹ̀bẹ̀rẹ̀ jíjà. Jagunmọ́ lòdì ọ̀rọ̀. Apálá ti jó tọ̀hún tọ̀hún.
Hello everyone, welcome to another of our Grassroot edition. Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. So Sensei, I'll present it over to you to do the honors.
Okay. Welcome once again to the month edition of MCTNAIJA User Group African Master Grassroots event. Now, the tag for this particular event is that we have numerous talents that is yet on tap, and they are right there in the grassroots. And we want to have a forum by which you can connect the mentors to the mentees, ensure we elaborate by bringing their story down to you, then you understanding their story and using the story to build your own career paths. You're welcome this morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are calling from. We say you are welcome today. Next slide. I think you should move another further. Okay. Now, we have already played our intro, ensuring you understand what we are. But we want to use this avenue to also thank those that have been supporting us over the years, especially from last year when this event started. We want to thank everyone that is watching us today, everyone in their homes, everyone across the continent, everyone in Africa, outside Africa. We are saying thank you for giving us audience, for allowing us to even have a point at which you can have interaction with us through this medium. And we also want to specially thank Microsoft and every user group in Africa that has been helping to make this happen. Thank you. Now we go to the hosts, those that will be presenting today. And obviously, we know that we are seeing our faces there. We introduce ourselves, but before we do that, we need to try to bring into understanding why we are doing this, why this movement. The essence of this movement is, as I said before, to connect the expert with mentees. The other reason why we are having this event is to ensure that if you have that require advice, it might be advice that come from rich knowledge of the mentors, and they can share with you by grace for free on this platform. And we also know that we have the transformation going across the world, and COVID-19 has brought us to a point that either we like it or not, the cloud technology has come to stay. So this movement also avails opportunity to speak with expert rather in their specialized area, maybe in the cloud security, in the cloud workspace area, in the cloud administration. Once they come here, they tell us how they got to that point, and what do they do in order to achieve their current goal and how they achieve their future goal. And we know that digital workspace has also changed the course of things, and it is essential for us to understand that for us to be able to meet up with the pressing changes in the world, we must be abreast. And how can we do that if not connecting ourselves with mentors that have gone through that? So that is about the movement. Now we're going to move further to let you know that this particular group comprises of several user groups ranging from Azure, M365, Power BI, Power Platform, right to programming, DevOps. Now, one of our guests we are bringing in today also have a user group called the Intelligence Business Intelligence User Group. That means we are scaling out and scaling up outside this particular 15 user group we have. That means that change with time, and we'll be bringing such people in to come and tell us their stories and how they got there. Now, let's now go to the those that we're hosting for today. Now, the user host, which we all are aware of, is uh, myself. And who am I? My name is Oluwaseyi Oluwawumiju, and I am an MVP and MCT and a community lead. The other hosts that are supposed to be with us, two of them, Olana Ogbena, cannot be here today because of some official activity she's carrying out. And also David Okeyede, also an MVP and MCT, cannot be with us today. But we have in the studio with us Sir Kofi. Sir Kofi, can you just introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. So my name is Kofi Ade, and I'm also an MVP. I work as a technical account manager for a cybersecurity company. So I'm actually into security both in the cloud and also on-prem as well.
Yeah, you're welcome, Kofi. And we move right to the work of today. Now, we have a guest that's supposed to be here. Unfortunately, he's caught in in Lagos traffic, and he will join us later. In improvising for that, we have a lady in the house, and she is going to be um, one of our guests too. Her name is Mercy George Igbefe. Mercy, welcome to the Grassroot movement. Please, can you just introduce yourself to the viewers and let us know you?
Thank you so much for the honor of being here. I'm very excited. My name has been mentioned, Mercy Georgie Buffett, the founder of Mentee. We're all passionate about developing capacity for the African market. And I'm very excited about the conversation today. I live in Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm a woman, a self starter, I think, and a Microsoft certified trainer as well. Hopefully, someday soon, become an MVP.
Hmm. Already trading to that part, almost there, even there already. You're welcome, Mercy. And we'll be expecting Deji Deji Folari. He was part of the team of last week because this is the part two of this. He was supposed to come back and we conclude that. Now, in absence of Deji, let's just go into our discussion with Mercy. Now, Mercy, last week, let me just recap for the viewers that are joining us for today and those that will join us later on. Last week, we talked about a subject called mentorship. Now, mentorship, each of the panelists that came last week, they all gave their own story in terms of what mentorship is all about, how mentorship is essential in our journey as an IT professional. Now, I for myself, I told my own story. What was my story? My story was that when I was trying to leave the college, I noticed that there are some people that actually they have this knowledge. Now, why I'm telling you my story, please, if you have questions as we are dealing with those questions here in the studio, if you have questions you want to just send it in and we are going to amplify your question, and Mercy and other panelists that will be coming on board will be able to answer it. Maybe you have a question about what is new in IT, how you can get into IT world. Maybe you are trying to change your career path, or maybe you need guidance on a specific area in the cloud. Please write those questions and send it in. So, Mercy, as I was saying, we were trying to look at areas to justify why mentors is essential in digital age. Now, my story was crude and primitive because I have to try to do that myself. I have to try and do that myself. Now, how do we start it? Now, Kofi, can you go to question one after the question mark? Question one. Let's just you talk with Mercy while we wait for Deji. The question one says, what is a relationship? I just gave you a recap of what we're discussing, how we can be a mentor to mentees, what are areas that we should look at. A lot of things was discussed last week, and the highlight is that you need to just leave your comfort zone because nobody is an island on their own. When it comes to technology, we all need to collaborate. In order to collaborate, you need to find people that have gone before you, connect with them, use their experience to build your own career, and use that experience to get to your height. So the question we have want to discuss before they join us is, what do your relationship to mentee, when your relationship become stale with mentee, how do you overcome it? Because one of the subject David raised last week.
Okay, because I'm one person that never gives up, and I'm very big on relationships. I don't care how much time doors are slammed in my face. I try to make sure I go back, try to use my leg and break the doors down. So when relationship becomes stale with mentee, what do? I reach out. I make sure I find out, because I'm very big on feedback. What did I do to contribute to that? What can I do better? That's where my agile skills kicks in. What can I do to improve that relationship? Truly, relationships do go stale. It's not intentional. I think it's either because of life situation, challenges, current situation of people might equally impact. So just a call, a voice note, a message to the individual can be just a game changer to disrupting that particular situation. So I try as much to nurture as much as possible. But you see, when it becomes totally stale and you can't nurture, I move on. So even as a mentee, you see that this person is not adding value. It's best that you move on. So number one, I don't give up on relationship as much as I try to do. Number two, I will try to make sure I reach out either through all the technological feature using WhatsApp, message, phone call, give a voice note, and check on the person. If I've contributed towards making the relationship stale with the mentee, I send an apology, but I make sure that I follow through to make sure the person gets value. Thank you so much today, Shady.
Okay. Kofi, the floor is open. When and how, let's start from you. When and how do you think a relationship between a mentor and a mentee becomes stale?
Well, I think at the moment all of them have been said, but to add my 2 cents to this, relationship is something that can obviously go off rail. It's sometimes expected life setting. We might have plans, but it might not go that way all the time. And life has its own plans as well. So when relationship go stall, mostly what I would do from my point of view to overcome it is setting like a realistic kind of like a date to catch up. So what probably I will do is each month, since I might have my own kind of like daily activities and monthly activities, work, family, and other things. I will take it as a mission to ensure that there is a catch-up meeting set up in my calendar. That okay, what I have to do is I have mentees that I have to help in various scenarios. So and also probably catch up with them to see how they are doing. So I'll set up that kind of meeting each month, just to have that kind of like conversation to see how they are doing, how can I help, and I think through that approach, it helps the mentees to also have that kind of like freedom to reach out to me each time they have any kind of issue. So, for what I'll add on to is taking the opportunity to set up something realistic in place, like a meeting, and then have those sort of catch-up meeting with them on a monthly basis, so that it will continuously keep that relationship going.
Mm. I get you. You said you have to sacrifice. You have to create time.
Yeah.
Now, Messi, I want to throw the question in another way round. Now, you mentioned that sometimes you just have to move on when such relationship has gone beyond maybe building, rebuilding. So, at what point do you think a mentee has got to that point for you to just move on?
At what point? You will
Yeah,
know
do you think?
by their
Yeah.
you would know by their participation. You will know by their commitment. You would know
Mm-mm.
it because the truth of the matter is, as much as you're a mentee, there's something called reverse mentoring. So, as much as you're a mentee, there has to be some mutual benefit both for the mentor and the mentee. So, if the mentee is waiting for the mentor to always reach out, or if the mentee has been reaching out to the mentor and the mentor is non responsive, over time it will wear out on the mentee. So it is expected that as a mentee that you make sure it's not about what you can get, it's about how much you can add value. So how does that
Mm.
become stale if it's a one-sided relationship where at the end of the day you're not necessarily adding value to that relationship? Because as a mentee, the mentor is learning from you as well. So
That's right.
am I a mentor chasing the mentee? Take for instance, Sheyi, I got to meet you because of the community that you're developing, right? And I know
Yeah.
how much you are putting into MCT Niger User Group. I know the effort of developing this community. It has taken you years of work. And I met you first time in 2017 or 18. But today, I've made sure in any capacity that I can add value, I am contributing. So that way, you will not be weighed out as a mentor when I'm adding value. It's not a one-sided give me, what can I get out of this relationship? It has to be a two-way thing. So you have developed a mentee. Are you paying it forward? Are you adding value to somebody else? Is it that
Mm.
you're just coming for what you can get? Do you take
Mm.
a little time to like thoughtfulness, to celebrate, to acknowledge the mentor? And that way the person is not weighed out. So take for instance, one of our alumni, my mentee as well, celebrated me on LinkedIn. And I felt that was very thoughtful because she has gotten value from me. That's the least you can do for a mentor. And it's a way to build both ends of the relationship whereby one person is not tired out, whereby one person is not weary of making sure that it's just the mentee getting value and the mentor is just left stranded, or
Mm.
vice versa. So those are some of the things I can point out to the question that you've asked.
That is very, very, very solid. And
Yes.
I don't know whether Kofi has anything to add. She dived in an area that is so explosive.
Yeah.
It's going to be, it's supposed to be a two-way channel. It should not just be one person pushing it. It should be both people on the trail trying to make this relationship work. From the mentee and also from the mentor, you must ensure that you are contributing. And he mentioned carrying it over, taking it forward. Don't just stay where you are. Build your own community. Ensure that you are helping someone out there that is really need your help. So what do you think about what um, Messi had just said?
Yeah, Messi hit the nail right on the head. Because mentees, mentors, it's a two-way street. It have to be that kind of like a relationship, just like a marriage relationship. You
Yeah.
also have to contribute to ensure that that relationship is strong. All right.
Mm,
So the moment one person decide to be less talkative or be less involving, then that means you are leading to the path whereby there's going to be that kind of like a breakage in that type of
mm,
relationship. So um, to add onto this, I think most often the mentees sometimes have that notion that okay, this is my mentor. Probably they might probably have to reach out to me if they need me to know something. That's something that they have to obviously take out of their head. They need to
mm,
understand that in these type of things, it's not about someone the expert only reaching up or setting up these sort of like user group or sessions like you have now to
mm,
reach out. It's all about whatever you have, you also have to also be capable of sharing because knowledge is two-way street. You never know what knowledge you can impact on someone else. So you
mm.
always have to be that kind of person that are also willing to share your knowledge, whatever big or small it is. So for me personally, I think uh, as a mentee, your part is also to whatever you learn when you come to the table, be willing to also share that knowledge as well.
Move forward. Can we
Yeah.
can we just look at the second question, which is also related to this, and we also discussed that. The second question is how to talk to mentee. How do you talk to mentee about time you messed up and you felt like you have failed, and how do you bounce back? Because this kind of question, this kind of situation is like you're exposing yourself to your weakness. Now, is it right for mentor to let mentee knows that in the line of his growth, career growth in IT, he actually went down but came up? Is it right, and what is the effect?
Is that is that question directed to me or Kofi?
And whether it's Kofi, let Kofi first take it on, then you can hear from Mercy.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, in terms of time of failure in life, there is always going to be failures, right? Before you succeed, sometimes you have to fail first. I
Mm,
mean, you didn't start riding a bike by just picking up the bike for the first day and then all of a sudden you start smooth riding. You constantly fail, and that failure build you upon your success. So for me personally, it's not like I'm not afraid to obviously point out that okay, if I don't know this and I'll have to learn, or probably I fail in this, and eventually my persistency, I was able to succeed. So by letting your mentees understand this nature of life will help them to uh, progress in life. Because sometimes if they think that okay, they've tried it once, two, and they're failing, and they don't have anyone advising them that okay, that's expected, right?
mm,
Even the inventor of the light bulb, he said he have about thousand failures, and through the thousand failures, that's when they know that these are the things I do not have to do anymore. So each time you fail, you are building experience and you are learning from that failure as well. So from my point of view, it's all about sharing wherever you fail so that your mentees wouldn't go through the same process again because you've learned from that already. So you are ensuring that their path to success is now faster, but obviously letting them know about the things I did that did not go well, and then sharing the ideas of how you can actually progress in a nice and faster way. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, Mercy, in another way round, don't you think it shows that you are weak when you tell
No,
your mentee
I
when you
don't
tell your
agree.
mentee that I failed in certain thing and this was the result, and how did I come back? So in your own view, don't it? I feel you are exposing your weakness. Is that
Um,
right?
I really don't agree because I tell people welcome failure. I'm very big
Yeah.
on talking about my failures because I believe my failures from there, you will get lessons to help you mitigate from failing yourself. So I find strength in talking about my failures. I
Mm,
am okay to be vulnerable. I'm okay to share the part that I've made mistake with intentionality to make sure there's a lesson for you to learn. So I'm not just telling you about my failure to make you feel that you are hopeless. I'm telling you about my failure to tell you how I overcame those failures. And at the end of the day, today I bounced back and I'm on
mm,
top of the world.
Yeah.
So that is the lesson for me. It's not so much about failures. It's about
mm,
what did you learn from my failure? What can you apply to your own experience so that you do not fail yourself?
That's
So
right.
these are critical learning for for me to always talk about, and I'm always open to talking about my failure. I relish in my failure. I welcome failure. I never run away from failure. Failure is like my middle name. I tell people it's okay to fail, and as an agilist, it's the hallmark of agile, where you welcome failure so that you can continuously improve
That's right.
on your failure, not to repeat those failures. It's an anathema to know that you have failed here and to continue to do that. It's an aberration. So I welcome failure. And I'm always
mm.
happy to share my failures with people, especially my
So
mentees.
yeah, if you are right there and you are joining us now the point here is that this is the part two of what we started off last week. We're talking about mentors and mentee. And the question we are trying to deliberate on, is it right for mentors to tell mentee about his past failure, and how he overcome that particular wall? And from our guests there, we what the feedback we are hearing is that when you tell people about your failure, you are opening them up to likelihood success that will come in future. You are letting them know this is the path I took that brought me down. But if you don't take that path and you take the path I took to come back, you can actually have better success. So, invariably, what we are saying now is that when we understand our path, we should be open that to the point that we can fail. And when you fail, you should not stay where you are. You need to move. You need to check on what you have done that is wrong. You need to check on what you have done that is not working. And that cuts across even all our administration in terms of IT, in terms of managing the IT environment. You don't stay in one point. You should continue to advance in order to achieve your goal. Now, we quickly go to the third question. And the third question leave us also on the point of um, mentorship. And the third question tells us about how we can actually look at time against vision. against mentorship. Now, if we ask now, this question will go direct to Mercy now. If you, when your relationship, if you look back 5 years from now, what would be your vision for your career as of today? What do you think you can do better to make sure that you achieve more? Now, in terms of from what you have done, we follow you on so many social platforms, and we notice that there's a lot of things you have done for yourself. I know you were celebrating with Tony Emelu, Elimelu. That was for giving you grants. That means you are able to scale certain hurdles before you can get that particular grant. You are able to participate in certain competition. Now, we also saw what you are doing with Nigerian Business Intelligence, where you have built several things. Last time you were discussing and you were saying one person was in one of your section is now an expert in business intelligence, especially artificial intelligence. Now, it shows us that there is a lot of track you have done, there's a lot of things you have done, there's a lot of things you have achieved with time. Now, the question is, looking back 5 years now, what do you think you can do better for your career?
What can I do better? Okay, starting Lentor blindly could have been easier, but that's why I love Agile. Agile allows you to fail fast. So what could I have done better? Number one, when I met you 2017, I should have raised to being an MCT or MVP. I won't be here today. Okay? I would have long have gone far with my career. I should have taken the opportunity of saying, oh, Mercy, picking up the slack very quickly and like leveraging on the community rather than reinvent the wheel. I say this often. I'm not a fan of reinventing the wheel. I strongly believe that it is important not to reinvent the wheel, but to always make sure you gather lessons from previous people and try to mitigate against their failed path and learn fast and to improve on that. So what could I have done? I could have been a cybersecurity professional today. I could have become a cloud professional. Because I remember that session in 2017. You know, I met Dami Lola Omiyari, if you remember.
Yes,
Today,
Dami, yes.
he is a wins because he didn't stop there. He continued. He was persistent. He was dogged. I should have followed that path, and today I would have been way ahead of my career path. Today that many people are going into cloud, I would have been there before. I would have had a first-hand advantage, especially as a woman. So that are some of the things I could have done better. Leverage opportunity. Pastor Chris Okotie will always say, you can't wait a second time to make a first impression known. It means that when you have an opportunity, embrace it with both hands and run with them. Don't try to run behind, try to run the race when you could have gone ahead with a group of people. So some of the things I've done today, I could have done them better in the sense that by being part of the process of the change that was a few years back, leveraging on the community that you have built rather than reinvent the wheel or building a brand new community. That's some of the things I could have done better.
Mercy, I see you coming from the background, um, maybe because of your exposure, living outside the country. We are so crude here that we want always to champion our own cause. Irrespective of 10 people doing the same thing, we still want to have the same user group created on our own name, our own perception, in our own. Sir Kofi, what do
Yeah.
you think about this question? 5 years down the lane,
Yeah.
what would be your ambition for career as an IT security person?
Well, it's an interesting question. I mean, looking back, let's say in 5 years where I started, I think 5 years ago, I mean, from where I am, and then looking back, what could have changed? Would have changed. It's all about failing fast, right? The fear of obviously taking initiative was one of the issues, right? So
Mm,
looking back, that's one of the things I would definitely have changed to ensure that I continuously learn. And even though I don't know that type of skill set, or where I don't have the skill set for whatever I'm actually getting myself into, I just have to embark on it, right? And the whole point is that exposing myself to it, I always will gain some knowledge. So that's what I've learned, especially with the past years, especially meeting the like of you and said David. I've understand that life is all about ensuring that you push the envelope. Yeah, there are always going to be places that we've never been to, like um, I mean, with MVP, for example, it's something that I was so amazed that I managed to achieve it. But in the past, I wouldn't have embarked on that kind of journey, right? So the idea of me ensuring that the things that I think I'm not comfortable with, I still go for it anyway, putting myself into the uncomfortable situation, knowing well that it's something that is worth having, right? That would be something that I would have changed. And more likely, the more you feel fast in those kind of scenario, that means you're pushing yourself, and then it will accelerate your career. So that's one of the things that if I look back in 5 years, I could have changed, and then more likely it would have catapulted me. I mean, much higher compared to where I am at the moment. Yeah.
mm. Well, both of you have just stunned me, and um, it shows that we all knew where we want or what we want to do, but sometimes because we don't have such environment that we have today, we struggle to our path. So if you are out there and you are in the IT industry, you want to pave a path for yourself. Just learn from these two professionals, which have seen the cost of their life in the past and are saying that if they have the opportunity to look back, you have the opportunity now. We're going to bring someone on today's event show who is going to tell us about what the company is doing, especially for Africa. Something that will change the course of Africa, something that will make us to have um, a curve by which we can bring grassroots people from wherever you are, from your university, from your polytechnic, from your college of education, and you can have the right skill to move in. Now, the truth is that the digital age is not going anywhere. Just as Mercy said, if you have known 5 years ago, you could have been like Damilola, which is now a guru when it comes to artificial intelligence. And Sir Kofi was saying something. You could have fear was one thing that prevented him rather from actually taking that dive. Maybe you are fearful now. Please take away that fear. Just take the bold step and move forward. Now we are gonna move forward. If you have question and you can send in your question, please. We have seasoned professional here, mentors that are ready to answer your question. Please, if you have your question, keep sending it in. Thank you, Franca. Thank you, every other person that has been sending in comments. Please send in your question. Sir Kofi, can we move with the slide?
Sure. Which questions do you want me to bring up?
No, we're going to the next guest,
Okay.
actually, which is already in the studio, and we need to just bring him up so that we can have him right here. Our next guest is a seasoned professional. He started way back as a developer, so he's not just an administrator now. He has been in the four, how do they put it? He has been in the forefront of technology change, ensuring to bring about his changes that he used across his career path. He's a seasoned agile person, he's a project manager, he's a developer in excellence, and he managed several things. And one thing I know about him is his skill across the programming. He knows Python, he drives from Python to C to machine learning to deep learning. So he has all these professional skill and he's still trying to make change, especially coming to the admin side. We welcome, sorry if I didn't pronounce it very well, Elimi Ani. You are welcome this afternoon. I
Yeah,
hope I
thank
pronounced
you.
your name very well. Yeah.
Yes, yes, you did. Thank you, Sharon. Please, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sharon, for giving me this platform. And thanks, my fellow speakers. Apologies for coming slightly late. I think I was held up in traffic. I was in several meetings and I thought to join as early as possible so I could give further insight into, let's say, my personal career to see if that can encourage, participants who are, not sure the direction to go. But yeah, so thanks for having me. So,
Thank
Sean,
you.
what do you want me to talk about?
Yeah, we're going to start with you and we're going to go back to Messi too. We want to know your story. Now, Messi has been telling us about mentorship. Now, we want the viewer out there to learn from you. Um, how did you start? How do you get to where you are today? Let's start from you.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Thanks so much for the question. Most things in life happen sometimes by chance. Sometimes they weren't really some of the things you plan to achieve in your career. So let's say I was in SS2 in secondary school here in Nigeria, in Calabar, precisely. And I had this cousin whose elder brother was with Microsoft UK at that time. And of course, he had seen the future and he understood that, programming and IT was the way to go, the way to go, looking into the future. And so he wanted his younger brother to go into programming. And we were somewhat in, I think he was in SS3, I was in SS2. And I do spend a couple of time in at his place most times. And one day I saw him through books, Visual Basic, I think then Visual Basic, something to him, and also through a Java book to him. So he just, when the brother left, he said, "Oh, I've told my brother I don't want to do anything Java. I'm just only interested in Visual Basic. You should stop giving me Java books." So I was curious. I said, "What's Java? What's Visual Basic?" Okay, if you don't want this book, or the book looked colorful and nice. So I said, "Can you just give me? Let me just take a look." So I opened it and I was seeing Java stuffs, classes, some of those kind of stuff. And then I became interested. I said, "You mean if I read this thing, I'll be able to program the computer to respond?" And he said, "Yeah, you can even feel free to use my computer." So I started off on my own, studying those books and, of course, attending my classes. Then I was in SS2 and moved on to SS3. So by SS3, I was already building some, softwares like concepts, snippets of codes and stuff like that. And that's how I got into the university. And by year one, I was already helping final year students with their projects, and stuffs like that. I was already building mobile solutions, for Symbian phones, Windows phones, and yeah, some of those operating systems. Yeah, so that's how my journey started. And When I was done, I think I got a job with MTN, and we built the first mobile solutions asset management solution. I think
Mm,
in Africa, basically, which was used to track base stations across the country, and I think that's how my career started. Moved into different industries, moved to banking, moved to IT companies, education, and stuffs like that. Yeah, so it's been an amazing journey, and I've touched in, I've worked in almost all aspects of IT. Been an IT project manager, I've been a business analyst, I've been a programmer, I've been an enterprise architect, a solutions architect, a system admin. I've had to go across, all areas of IT, and also vertically. I've also risen to become the chief technology officer in a subsidiary of a bank, and at that point, I told myself, okay, now I know everything IT. What next?
mm,
So I noticed there was this gap, between business and IT. So it's either you are highly business and management oriented, or you are highly technical. And there was really no mid ground between these two professions. By this time, we didn't have the CIO positions. It wasn't really out there. I think the highest you could get to was a CTO.
right.
So I decided to pitch into that space, and that's how I started my journey into management. Went did my MBA at Lagos Business School. Went to top business schools in the world like University of Wisconsin, Fudan University School of Management in China. I went to Koç University School of Management in Turkey. Did some stuff with IE Business School and ISA Business School in Spain. Yeah, so I did quite a lot of courses on strategy, business management, entrepreneurship, corporate venturing, high tech entrepreneurship, and stuffs like that. And then I thought to go into consulting because that would help me, consult for a lot of enterprises and to be able to leverage some of these skills I had acquired, in practical terms. So I did that with a couple of companies, did business transformation projects, digital transformation project, IT transformation project, and anything you think consulting firms do for companies. So I went through all that. Okay, and but I've always had passion for education because having taught almost all the continents of the world to school, I knew that you can't compare the level of, the methodology, the level of education with what we have in Nigeria. So I've always been passionate, in that space. So when I got the opportunity to work with Elevate, which is my present company now, I took it not necessarily because of the pay, but because I felt I was going to have an opportunity to make an impact in the education space. I think that's one of the areas we're lacking in Africa. I would share something with you, and I keep saying this. In 2050, Africa would have a population of about 2.4 billion people. Now, the median age in Africa sits at 19 years. We have a birth rate of about 32 in every 1,000. We have um, we have a growth rate, an annual population growth rate of about 2.5%, per annum. So if you project this, you would really understand where we would be in 2050. The second thing I would also want to say is that we have a median population in Africa, like I said earlier, of 19 years. In other words, we're a youthful population. So we are looking at this, extrapolating with all this data, you could see that Africa might produce up to 50% of global workforce by 2050. But what would 2050 look like? 2050 is going to look like an environment where maybe driverless cars would have been prevalent. You would have blockchain ruling maybe the finance sector and maybe manufacturing and supply chain. You have cobalt, you sit with robots and stuff like that in the same work environment. We would have virtual reality become a thing and permeate probably all areas of our lives, augmented realities and some 3D, 7D. We'll be seeing different dimensions, and there's a whole lot that may happen. It's never going to be the way it is now. Now, when you look at the digital literacy level in Africa, you will see that we have a lot of millennials, they are youthful, so of course they are digitally literate. But they are digital literate from a consumer perspective. In other words, they like to consume digital services, but they are not creators of digital services. That's where the challenge lies. So when you look at the huge investments coming into Africa with the large tech hubs we are setting up everywhere, one would say, hey, Africa in 2021 got $1 million every 2 hours of $1 million investment in startups every 2 hours. You would say, wow, we are doing great. But what's the margin? What's the population of the guys creating these digital services? They are very, very, very insignificant compared to these population statistics I've given to you. So what this means is that we are well positioned in 2050 to take over the world, but we are not putting the right infrastructure to help us take over the world. So that's where, and we might again lose out in this fourth industrial revolution. So these are some of the things that are making me passionate. And I'm like, hey, guys, in 2020, I did a little research and I discovered that for every 1 million Nigerians you see, we have just 500 developers. That's not significant. Software development is really, really like the base of IT. I mean, with the kind of innovations we want to do, you could center it around, some level of programming or connection to endpoint systems and stuff like that. And we are really not doing that enough. And when you look at our educational curriculum, you look at the STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, the curriculum cannot match us into the future. So this is where we are as Africa. And this is why I'm passionate to say, hey, how can we help? What ways can we come up? How can we change our teaching methodology? How can we be that bridge? I mean, if you look at the formal educational system that supplies majority of the workforce for the enterprises, you would see that there is a mismatch. What the enterprises need as talent is different from what the formal educational system is supplying. So there needs to be a middle ground. Somebody has to come in between and say, hey, how can I take these raw talents that are coming out of the tertiary institution, mold them and cultivate them, impact in them digital skills that can match the demand of today's workforce in such a way that when they come in, they are compliant and they can drive digital transformation journeys within their enterprises. So this is an opportunity I think we need to quickly look at as a government, as companies. I mean, I tell a lot of enterprises, I say, hey, you think about cultivating your internal talent, but you don't think about your acquisition strategy, because your talents are going to leave. Once they acquire the right skills, they will jump right out of the country. So how do you get supply of the right talent in if you don't start now to invest upfront into the educational system, into these intermediaries I talked about that can culture, these talents that are coming out to be workforce ready? So this is where if they don't put their eggs or their money where their mouth is, then at some point the workforce will not have talents to even take in. So this is quite a situation for us as a continent, as a country, as enterprises, and that's why we are producing platforms and we are seeking for collaborations between government, tech giants, educational institutions, enterprises, and everybody to say, hey, let's build a platform and let's help to transform this talent so that we can have a future as Africa and as Nigeria. So this is also another line of business, I mean, within Elevate. So Elevate is basically plays actually at the B2C and B2G level, but we understand this need and we are now looking into, carrying out employability schemes, getting people trained with in-demand skills, and then making sure that they are ready to be employed so that we can continue to feed into the high attrition rate we are seeing today for the few IT guys that are creating digital value and help to close the gaps. I don't know if
Wow.
this makes sense.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's
well,
amazing.
Sakofi, can you quickly go to slide 27? Um, I'll bring in Mercy to also tell us our story. But Mr. Elemi has opened up a lot of things here now that we need to just quickly address. So we just allow Mercy to just come up, tell us your story briefly, where we go back to elevate a vision program for grassroots or any IT person down there.
First, let me, and if you don't mind, where you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
I know you are. Anyway, those numbers are worrisome. Let me
Yeah.
just come in with another shocker of number. Yes,
Mm.
Africa were a consuming country because number one, I would say the slavers did not do us favor in terms of depriving us of education. Okay, so that's where the problem stems from. Okay, then before I go into my story, back to the fact that our education system are porous and we were deprived of the right knowledge to give us that global competitiveness, no matter where we find ourselves. We have still pushed through to try to stay above the game. Like you have identified, my story goes first. 2017, I had a midlife crisis. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, right? I wish I know what I know today. I would have been, I would have totally disrupted Africa. In my little corner as a founder of Lento, and you know that it's more difficult for women founder. I had a very scary statistics. Out of the 100% investment in Africa, do you know only 8% of that goes to women founded businesses? 92% goes to male founded businesses. That is a scary thought. And like I told you, I wanted to come in with a disturbing news. The chairman of EFCC, Abdul Rashid Bawa, on channels television said that by 2030, 60% of our youth, Nigerian youth, will be called criminals. If that does not call for attention right now from all of us, rather than create silos in the process, it is important now to start thinking, how do we start to collaborate? You're talking about building a platform, you're talking about building a system. How can Elevate collaborate with Lentor? How can Lentor collaborate with Sheyi? How can I collaborate with Kofi? The problem with us as Africans, we like to create silos, reinvent the wheel against what is working. So I had a midlife crisis. I'm grateful I got to meet Sheyi in the process. And for the first time, I was mesmerized by something called Power BI. I didn't even know what it was. And 2019, I won the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Grant. I didn't know what I was going to do. I wanted to focus as a digital marketing professional with Digital Marketing Institute, right? With my diploma. Let me focus on digital marketing. Data immediately just gave me a root shock of my life. Mercy. This is a very polarized industry. Everybody is a digital marketer without even knowledge of SEO, keywords. Do you know how much content that Nigerians, Africans churn out daily? It's not ranking because it's not just about pushing out the content. How you push out the content to work in your favor is equally critical. So we are deficient in that area. The fact that you're using social media doesn't mean that the social media is working for your interest. So there are technicalities that you need to understand. So I now realized when I started Lentor, based on the seed capital that I got with Tony Elumelu, that it was good. Okay, Mercy, you can't do digital marketing. You're not going to scale. Immediately, I pivoted. I'm an agilist. I'm a scrum master. I got my certification because I started my career path as a business analyst, project manager, before I now elevated to digital marketing skills. And I said to myself, Mercy, It's important to understand that the data has informed you. You will not do well here, right? Pivot. Focus on the skills that you need, elevate, that would help Africans start to develop creative ability to think. As you know, we went to school where they were teaching us A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, D for dog. I saw Sheyi on his slide. He said, how about when they came? Why didn't they say K for Kafanchan, A for Abia? Things that we know so that they are informing us, right? We don't have the luxury of those kind of knowledge. And that has greatly impacted our education system. So when I now pivoted and now said 2020, I had my first cohort. I was training them on data analytics skills, design thinking, UX, UI, business analysis, even brought elements of GDPR so that they can learn the skills. These are skills that industry till today, as much as they create the offshoot, the finished product of this into the market and we buy. There are technicalities that go into legal issues, into documentation, into mapping out the processes. We do not have those skill sets in Africa. Like you said, it's quite scary that we don't have enough developers, like you said. So imagine that people do not even understand the framework wherewith the international communities are using to scale. That is equally a problem. So that's why I took it as a pain point for the business. Make it democratize the knowledge. Thank God for our partnership. We have a partnership with Scrum.org that ordinarily you can go to the website, take the certification, 2 days, you pass the exam, $150. But because of the partnership with Scrum.org giving us access to their professional trainers, we have gotten 125 alumni of Lentor certified as Scrum Masters, learning from professional trainers. That is a game changer. And those professional trainers charge minimum of $1,500 or £1,000. Many Africans cannot afford it, so the barrier to entry is very high. So the common skills that we can learn is development. Now, Microsoft and all these cloud services are now gradually making the job of developers kind of redundant. Excuse me if you don't mind me saying. Now, low code, no code is now what is the order of the day, right? So, but you still need the softer side of technical skills. And that's why skills in data is critical. Like you were giving us a lot of information on data is critical. And that's why I now focused. Let's develop the softer side of technical skills that can go into the market, start to help organizations think creatively. How can we develop products, digital products that can make a lot of difference in Africa? And that's why we are so passionate about developing African talent for African businesses so that they can scale. Like you said, there's a massive brain drain in Africa today. Even the younger millennials that have the skills, they are not getting the skills to stay in the country. I've not had lights now for the last 1 week. The system has been created for us to fail. So no Gen Z wants to stay back in the country right now. Even the millennials don't want to stay back. Do you know the market that we have cut off? Let me give you the data. The market that we have cut off right now are the what do they call those demography of the 40s and 40s? No, they are the millennials. We have the Gen X, right, and the Gen Z. I'm talking now about the millennials. Now remember, Elemi, that those that stay in organization for longer, 10, 15 years, who are they? They are the millennials. They are cut off from tech. They don't even understand digital technology. They don't understand how it works. But are they valuable? Yes, they have experience in terms of management, in terms of operation, in terms of structure, in terms of strategy. But many Gen Zs and Gen Xs do not. So we have cut off that market and focused so much energy on the Gen Zs and the Gen X, and we left out the millennials that can help to put the systems in place. I keep saying till tomorrow, that the reason Africa is struggling today is because we don't have successive generational wealth, number one, successive generation or transference of knowledge. We want to create our own. It has to be labeled mine, me, myself, and I. How about I help elevate? Elevate, come and take up some of our resources. We have developed them. Can we collaborate that way so that together we can push the trajectory of developing Africa? The reason Asia till tomorrow works very well, I know I've gone all over the place, but these are some of the pain points that I've discovered in the course of my journey. The reason Asians, Indians work so well is because of the collaboration, the active collaboration within community. So my journey has taken me from having a midlife crisis into tech, still learning the process, the nuances of tech as a millennial. I'm in my 50s. I'm not a Gen Z, I'm not a Gen X, but I know I bring a different kind of value to this sector. If only 8% are given to a lot of female founders' businesses, you imagine the stress that it puts on a lot of female that want to come into tech. They are petrified because they just don't see the fighting opportunity that can give them that chance to succeed. So this is my journey in a nutshell, from a midlife crisis, not even sure where I wanted to go, and embracing tech within just 5 years of being embracing tech. Today I'm championing and I've developed capacity, developed, trained 2,000 people, help 125 train. So there is opportunity for us to change the norm in Africa, but it has to start with four of us here. It's not from somebody else because most of the time we're always speaking third person singular. Nobody is going to solve African problem. We are the ones to solve the problem, and it starts with us. Cheyi,
Wow.
that's my story.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nutshell.
that's
Wow. Um, 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 Annie, Mercy, I think we need to have this edition part three
yeah,
because
definitely.
Kofi, what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I
It's
mean, from all what has been said,
wow.
one of the things that I keep thinking about is that uh, who in our community can actually gel all this together, can actually help us to move forward. Because we as
Mm,
an individual, we are just, I mean, we can start a movement, but in the Western world, they obviously have something that ensure that each generation, the knowledge is passed on. Right. So
mm,
who in our community is responsible for that?
mm. Well, that will be the curve we're going to take for part three. We're going to look at that, and since enemy will be with us for the, I hope he will be with us for next edition.
Yeah.
Mercy, we are already inviting you for the next edition. We're just going to bring Franca, and I know David should be back, Olana should be back, so we have a fuller house. And I think someone made a comment that we should do more publicity. Although this is a grassroots movement, we want the program itself to speak for it. But it's very rich, very, very rich with all the statistics we're getting. So we do more publicity for the April edition, and we want you guys to come back. So we're going to wrap up with this. We are not going to go more deep, but we are still going to just touch the surface. Now, can you move the slide to the next slide, Kofi, where we talk of Elevate? I want Enemy to tell us about Elevate and tell us about the program you have and how we can make that out. We can work with you to make more of the grassroots, which we are championing, to to have this advantage for themselves. So, Elevate, can you tell us about Elevate, what you do, and the program, which is the next slide you're about to bring into the market?
Okay, yeah, so you said Elevate. Can you tell me about Elevate? Yeah, so the name looks similar.
Yeah,
Elevate. Yeah.
LME Elevate. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much. And talking about collaboration, like Messi stated, yes, so these are the kind of platforms we are looking, to have. For instance, Microsoft ATO, that's the African Transformation Office, in partnership or in collaboration with Elevate, is launching or has launched the a software development program. We call it Software Development Career Upskilling Program. The aim again is just to address this shortage in the market across Africa. We're running a pilot right now in Nigeria, and it's even for this reason I flew down from Germany because I really wanted, to be on ground when the program starts. It's a 58-day program, and it's going to touch on different components, of course, of building modern day software. So you're going to have things around IT fundamentals, Scrum Master. You would have ASP.NET, since it's a Microsoft sponsored initiative. And we also have Python, again, talking about collaboration. So Python is a non-Microsoft product, but we would have some classes go with Python, some classes will go with ASP.NET. Then we will look at some front-end technology like Angular and Node.js. And then we will touch on a back-end relational database like, of course, Microsoft SQL. Then after that, we would then move participants into the cloud. So we will teach you Azure fundamentals. We will teach you developing solutions in Azure. And then we'll teach you Azure DevOps. And that's not the end. We will then make sure that each participant learns at least one emerging technology. Remember, I said we always have to look into the future, where the world is going to be or where the world is heading to. So participants will have the chance to do either AI, or blockchain, or Internet of Things, or data science or machine learning. So this is, and then after that, they would then have a week to go into a project and bootcamp mode, where they would, be given some tasks to do, some solutions to build, and they are expected to leverage everything they've been taught across what all I've said. And there will be panelists who would grade them and award them. Microsoft also and Elevate will graciously donate certification vouchers, because it's one thing to know, it's another thing to credentialize what you know. Why? Because we are looking towards employability. We are trying to prepare them to be enterprise compliant, workforce compliant, or entrepreneurship compliant. In other words, if you were to build a new business today, it should be driven by technology, really. So this is what we are looking to do in 58 days. Is very intensive. It's like a full employment, morning till night. All we require from participants who will be shortlisted for this program is just that you need to invest in your internet, and you need to have at least a workstation, maybe a desktop or a laptop, but something with enough capacity to be able to install, an SDK or a programming framework or a platform, and because it's hands-on, so there's a whole lot of labs. Of course, when we get to there, it's not all courses that would need you to install that on your system. We also have online labs that participants will also use to carry out this in this journey, basically. So what's the prerequisites? What do we expect from participants? Now, we're going to run lots of programs. As a matter of fact, we're going to run programs to take developers from intermediate level to advanced level to be competitive with, in other clients. We are also going to run programs for beginners, zero knowledge in IT at all, into a reasonable point that can help you consume some of the kind of services that we are going to bring out. But this program, because it's a pilot, we started out with people who have basic prerequisites in IT. As you can see, it's quite intensive. You need to be in the right state. You need to have the basic prerequisites to undergo this program. I would advise anyone who has maybe a degree, maybe HND or BSc in mathematics, statistics, computer science, engineering, things around the sciences that at least will give you some background in technology, and who have played around basic computing, storage, cybersecurity, networking, some of these basic things in technology, because we're not really going to start from scratch. So these are the kind of people we need. And then this most important criteria is you are currently not employed. You don't have a job, because we are targeting people who don't have a job, so we can train them enough to be employed, employable, or to be able to have the right skills to venture into anything of their choice. Maybe their own businesses, digital businesses, or get a job. So as part of this program, we'll be teaching a lot of soft skills. So we'll teach you things around empathy, communication, emotional intelligence, design thinking, how to, prepare for interviews, how to prepare your CV, how to, put your brand out there on, the different platforms. Yeah, and some of these things that are equally very, 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 very important. Yeah, how to network. So all these we will teach you alongside, the technical skills. So it's something that if you were to quantify this will run into several millions of naira. Basically, I mean, if you look at the full spectrum. So we just need people who are dedicated, people who are underemployed or unemployed, who are not earning any form of stipends from government. So you're not in NYC, you're not working for government, you're not a contractor for government, you're not enjoying any benefit at all from government. Yeah, these are the people we need. And then that are highly motivated and want to take software development as a career. We don't want to train you and then when you're done, you say, hey, you know what, I just want to do something else. No, we really want to fill in these gaps we are seeing in Africa. We really want software developers, people who have the right skills that can match any software developer in the world. So there's a link. I don't know. I've shared that with Shay. If you could put up that link for them, if you know you meet this criteria, please, 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 because the closing date is on the 28th. So it means you have barely 2 days to quickly do your application. How is the application process going to be? You will just be required to fill some forms and submit your CV. After within 48 hours, you'll be called up to do a technical assessment. So a link will be shared with you. It's a 30-minute assessment, 40 questions for you to answer. And after that, you will be made to do a psychometric test. So the psychometric test is we have a unique profile of what a developer should be, how you should reason logically. So we're just going to test you on logic, just some few logic stuff. It's a psychometric test. After that, then you would have a short interview. And the reason why we want to have that short interview is just to be sure you have the right motivation. You truly want to take software development as a career. And then we would also check if you have at least some access to internet, and maybe a platform like a system that you can use. Once you meet this criteria, you are qualified to go into this. Now, please, we are not going to run the program into weekends, so it's just going to be Monday to Friday. And if there are public holidays, we would not definitely not run the programs on any public holiday. So this is where we are now. If you don't have a background in sciences or something relating to IT, maybe you read psychology or something, but you already have basic IT knowledge, basic enough IT knowledge to be able to enroll into the program, please feel free to also do, because of course, if you are able to make it through the technical test and the psychometric test, definitely you will be called up. So it's not just restricted to graduate, even though we put it that way. We just thought that would have these courses or STEM courses would have given you some foundation to really be able to meet the prerequisite for the program. But if you don't have, please feel free to apply. Just prepare hard, you know, give yourself, late night studies just so you could scale through and be shortlisted. If you go on LinkedIn, some people who have already started the program, the first two cohorts we've started, they're already singing the praises. They are so excited to be part of the program. And you're going to be trained by software developers, by people who have industry experience, some with 17 years, 20 years. These are people that are in the industry. So you can be sure that what they will tell you in 1 hour is what would have taken you 2 months or 3 months down the road to learn. So that's how we've structured the program.
Wow.
Please apply within these 2 days and do not uh, take this for granted. It's a one in a lifetime opportunity. You really cannot get this anywhere. So please try all you can to be shortlisted as part of this program.
Wow. Shout out to our grassroots people anywhere you are if you are hearing us. Now, the skill set now is not just about mathematics, engineering, or science. If you have skill and you know you can do this, please apply. Whether you're a secondary school leaver or especially to our grassroots guys that are in secondary school that are listening to us, please, this is an opportunity of lifetime. You might not get this kind again, and you need to take advantage of that. Um,
Sorry, did I mention
Confident.
that it's free? I think I skipped that point, right? So it's free.
And
It's
it
free.
is
You are not
free.
paying.
It
Yes,
is
you are not paying
free.
one
You are
naira.
not paying anything. All
Yeah.
you need is internet and a laptop.
Yeah.
Internet and a laptop. And taking us, we're going to draw the curtain for this edition here. Kofi, I hope you agree with me. Let's
Yeah.
just run down before Messi come back, and we can just take some few other questions. Now, can you run down to our own initiative, the one we have for laptop and the one we have for the region? Now, we also have some initiative for grassroots. Um, the first one we have is we are trying to work with all our community outside Nigeria. We want to give back to the society, and we want to have a computer initiative for the grassroots that don't have system. If you are out there, you have a company, you use computers that probably you have refresh of your computer after certain years, we can give somebody to develop himself in software. We can help you to channel this energy to the right part in the grassroots. We also have the earlier slide. Uh, we also have another initiative that is slide 35, where we consider it's called YPIC 2022. Can you go to that slide? YPIC 2022 called West Africa Power Innovation Challenge. West Africa Power Innovation Challenge. Now, Deji is not here to take us through it. Now, what we are trying to do from the grassroots is that we have seen several things, we have built several communities across Africa, especially Nigeria. What impact has those learning done for us in our society? Now we are going to have this innovation where each of this region come up with solutions that can cater for their region. If you are from the eastern part of Nigeria, you come up with a solution, and we all, if you are in Ghana too, is extended to Ghana and one other part of West Africa. Now, when you have your innovation, we all come to Lagos one of the weekend. We find panelists that will look at your solution and measure it to the impact it has to your own region. Has it solved your need? And once you win, there's a lot of prizes that we are working on to give to people. We are giving them money to be able to carry out this. We are trying to also connect, collaborate with companies that will take this solution to the next level in implementing it in our society. So just as Messi is doing for Lentor and Eleni is doing for um, Elevate, we are also trying to bring back something to the society to change, not just about educating them, implementing the education in practical sense. So Messi, we have some few minutes. You can just give your talk, and we get Eleni own talk, and we close for today while we have part 3 of this mentorship that is coming up for the April edition.
Thank you so much. Elemi, first, I hope you're okay. I can do a quick live with you for the benefit of our community to promote what you're doing. I believe in what you're doing, so I'm happy to share the stage with you and just do a quick live with you. I have a live with Further Matter. So let's talk about Lentor. Lentor is equally trying to contribute to Africa, developing talent, as we all are currently doing. We have a big problem on our hands to develop people in skills like Agile, Scrum, data analytics, design thinking, because these are the creative elements to bring out digital product. As you know, It's not just web development. It's great, but you need people that have the product orientation mindset to be able to push those digital products for our developers to be able to build them into reality. So that's what we are focused on. We build skills and we develop talent within those regions. We're grateful that we have partnership with Scrum.org and looking forward to collaborating with Microsoft. I'm very excited about what Shea has been doing with the community, constantly developing talent, and that talent is one. I'm one of them seated here, thanks to Deji as well. So I look forward to a way of collaborating with Elevate. Since this program is going to close in another 2 days, I don't know if you're up for like 15-30 minutes for us to have a live chat and just go live for regards to what you're doing, talk about it to our community members. I'll share the link to the community. Sometimes it's not that there's no information, but it's how the information is accessible to people. That's what the problem is. We tech people need to now be more intentional. How we're communicating this